Alright, let's dive in. I'm warning you, this video isn't soft, it's not cozy, and it's probably not what you want to hear. But trust me, it's what you need. Since you were a kid, you've been taught to point fingers outward, to find someone to blame for your pain, to slap a name on your struggles. And yeah, a lot of times, that name is your mom's. But here's the truth nobody wants to say out loud, it's not your mom holding you back anymore. It's what your mind has done with her. This isn't me coming at you or judging you, it's just real. It's a truth so raw that most people dodge it. Your mom lives in your unconscious, lingering long after she's left the scene. You've tried to move on, you've chased peace, but peace doesn't show up when you're stuck in a war you don't even see. What war? The one against a shadow, a figure that's not flesh and blood but an archetype, something that sank into you before you could even talk. The worst part? That shadow doesn't just vanish. Shi Heng called it the mother complex, and no, it's not some fancy psych term to throw around. It's an emotional cage with bars you can't see. It's that voice in your head judging you without words, that emptiness you can't fill no matter what you try, that craving for approval you've carried since you were little. And the cruelest twist? It's not even yours. It's inherited, like an echo, a scar on your soul. So, how do you heal something like this? That's where the real work kicks in. As long as you keep seeing your mom as this all-powerful figure, whether you put her on a pedestal or blame her for everything, you're not seeing her. You're seeing a myth, a projection, a warped image built from years of unmet needs, unspoken hurts, and heavy silences. And the kicker? That myth runs your life more than you'd ever admit. Every time you chase approval in a decision, every relationship that crumbles because you're waiting for someone to save you, every boundary you can't set, it all traces back to roots deeper than you realize. Those roots grew in your childhood, in a look that wasn't there, a hug that never came, a word that was never spoken. Now you're grown, but inside, you're still that kid waiting for mom to say, "It's gonna be okay." Here's the brutal truth, it's not coming. Healing isn't about changing her. It's about stopping the wait for her to change. And yeah, that hits hard. You've been told forgiveness is the answer, that understanding her is the path, that you need to walk in her shoes. Sure, that can help, but only if you do the real work first, turn inward and own that the wound is yours now. No one's coming to fix it for you. Let me ask you, how many times have you caught yourself acting like her? Saying or doing things you swore you'd never repeat? That's the trap. The mother complex isn't just emotional, it's in your actions. It lives in you, steers you, and if you don't wake up to it, it makes you repeat her patterns. The cycle keeps spinning until someone steps up to break it. Breaking it hurts because it's like killing a dream, letting go of the hope that one day, what wasn't will be. It's accepting that childhood's gone, and the comfort you didn't get? You've got to give it to yourself. Are you ready for that? Ready to stop waiting for the love you needed and start giving yourself the love you deserve? That's the way out, there's no other door. In Shi Heng's words, the mother isn't just the woman who raised you. She's an archetype, a symbol of origin, safety, emotional warmth, but also of suffocation, dependence, or fear of being yourself. When that archetype isn't integrated, it becomes a shadow you project onto everyone, your partner, your boss, your friends. You expect them to save you, to get you without you saying a word, to care for you no matter what. But that's not love. That's lack. And lack isn't filled by someone else, it's filled with truth, with awareness, with courage. The first step? Stop putting her on a pedestal. She wasn't perfect, not a goddess, but not the villain you sometimes feel she was either. She was human, flawed, wounded, fighting her own battles. She did what she could with what she had, and sometimes, that was barely anything. That doesn't erase the hurt, but it makes sense of it. When you see that, something shifts, not forced forgiveness, but a freeing clarity. Because idealizing her is just as toxic as hating her. Both keep you stuck, both pull you from reality. Reality is this: you don't need a mom anymore. You need a stronger you, a kinder you, a more awake you. That version of you doesn't just show up, you build it. How? Start watching your reactions. When you feel rejected, ask, who am I really seeing here? The person in front of me or the wound I haven't healed? When you crave unconditional love, ask, am I seeking love or just trying to fix something broken? When you ditch your own needs to keep someone else happy, ask, who abandoned me first? Healing's not a straight line. It's messy, like diving into your own personal chaos. It's facing the memories you've buried, feeling them, and letting them go. Sometimes that inner child cries, sometimes it screams, sometimes it tries to wreck everything because it's been ignored too long. Don't hush it with self-help cliches or fake spirituality. Give it space. Ask what it needed, then give it that yourself. Self-compassion isn't soft, it's powerful. It's the only thing that works when everything else fails. And it takes guts because part of you has learned to hate itself, to blame itself, to keep punishing itself the way it was once punished. Break that cycle. Relearning how to feel isn't just about books, it's about seeing yourself differently, creating new habits, stopping the hunt for moms in all the wrong places. The world won't give you what you missed, it's not built for that. It'll demand from you, judge you, ignore you. In that mess, you've got to build yourself. Freedom starts when you stop repeating the pattern, when you choose differently, when you realize you're not 5 years old anymore. You're not stuck in that house, not waiting for a pat on the back, not needing permission to be you. But part of you still believes you are, still hopes, still begs quietly. That part's not to blame, but it's on you to heal it. Do it now. Don't wait to feel ready, you'll never be ready. Healing doesn't come when life's calm. It comes in the noise, the chaos, the fear. And when it arrives, it doesn't feel like you thought. It feels like loss, like quiet, because healing is also letting go of a part of you that's familiar. It's saying goodbye to playing the victim, to waiting, and starting to act. Does it hurt? Yeah. But staying where you are hurts worse. So look at yourself, really look. Ask, what part of my pain is still tied to that inner figure I call mom? How long am I gonna let it run me? Make peace, not with her, but with you. The most important mother isn't the one who raised you, it's the one you choose to be to yourself. And that one? She's waiting to be born. Now that you're here, let's go deeper. You've looked at the wound, faced the shadow of the mother archetype, but there's another layer, a darker, more hidden one that's been steering you without you even noticing. It's called invisible loyalty. Yeah, you heard me right. It's a loyalty you didn't choose, but it pulls you like a string tied to your soul. No matter how much you grow, how many books you read, or how many therapy sessions you sit through, if you don't see this, you'll keep circling back to the same spot. What's this secret trap? Your unconscious believes that if you outshine your mom, if you live bigger or freer than she did, you're betraying her. It's twisted, right? This isn't something you think through logically, it's felt, buried deep in your emotional wiring. Growing up, you learned your identity was tangled with hers, that her struggles, her pain, her beliefs were somehow yours to carry. Without realizing it, you made a silent pact, an unspoken vow that says, I won't be better than you, Mom. I won't be freer. I won't heal if you didn't. That's the prison, and the scariest part? It feels like love. We're not talking about hate or resentment here, it's a loyalty to her pain, her limits, her frustrations. It's why you repeat patterns you don't even understand. It's why, just when you're about to break through to something bigger, you sabotage yourself. Deep down, a part of you whispers, if I'm happy and she wasn't, I'm being disloyal. But here's the gut punch, your pain doesn't honor her. Your stagnation doesn't save her. Your unhappiness doesn't fix her. So why are you still carrying what isn't yours? Picture this scene, it's one that plays out in so many wounded hearts, a child who holds back from living fully just to spare their mom's feelings, even if she's long gone or was never really there. It's like you're saying, "Look, Mom, I'm suffering too, so you're not alone." That's what's quietly killing you. The real betrayal isn't moving past her story, it's staying stuck in it. If you truly want to honor her, you need to understand something. Honoring your mother means surpassing her, not out of ego or rejection, but out of evolution. She gave you life, and your job is to expand it, not shrink it. You've got to turn that inherited pain into something new, awareness, transformation, a life that's real. But to do that, you have to break that silent vow, the one you made before you could even speak, the one that says, "I won't be freer than you." Break it, not with anger, but with love. Tell her, even if it's just in your head, even if she's not here anymore, "Mom, thank you for what you could give, but I'm walking a different path now." That path isn't toward resentment, it's toward freedom. Because as long as you're caught in this hidden loyalty, everything's a rerun. You'll keep living her fears, her frustrations, her way of loving, her inability to set boundaries, her need for approval, her guilt, her sacrifice, her pain, and you'll do it without even knowing why. Have you ever noticed how many of your choices are shaped by that shadow? Maybe that's why rejection stings so much. Maybe that's why you feel guilty when things go well. Maybe that's why you pick partners who make you feel small, not because you're weak, but because you're being loyal. That loyalty comes at a cost, your life. If you dare to question it, to face it head on, something cracks open. A void shows up, a weird kind of quiet, because for the first time, you're untangling your identity from hers. You're saying, "I am not you, and you are not me." To the kid inside you, that feels like abandonment. But to the adult you're becoming? That's birth. That's where it all starts. This isn't about cutting ties with her, it's about redefining her place inside you. Whether your mom was the warmest, the coldest, the most absent, or the most controlling, what matters isn't her. It's the space you've given her in your mind. If you don't sort that out, it becomes either an altar you worship or a cage you're locked in. Both are distortions, keeping you from the truth. The truth? She was a daughter too, carrying her own ghosts, shaped by her own world. She loved as best she could, and sometimes, that wasn't much. You're not here to repeat her fate, you're here for something bigger. You're here to turn that emotional inheritance into wisdom, to make the unconscious conscious, to end a cycle so that your kids, if you have them or ever do, don't carry what you're carrying now. Because that's what gets passed down, not just objects or genes, but unresolved patterns, unprocessed emotions, unspoken traumas, the weight of what's left unsaid. Here's the big one, you can't change the past, but you can change how it lives in you. Do it, not for her, for you. You don't need to cut your mom out of your life, you need to cut out the distorted archetype you carry inside. You need to challenge that voice that shuts you down every time you shine, that guilt that creeps in when you choose yourself. That freedom isn't against her, it's for you. Because the original wound doesn't define your future. What defines it is what you do with it. So, ask yourself, how long are you going to keep bowing to a pattern that doesn't serve you? How long will you drag a story you didn't even write? It's time to turn that pain into fuel, to stop just surviving and start living. But that takes one thing, courage. Courage to let go of that loyalty, to rebuild yourself without clinging to the figure who gave you everything or nothing, to look in the mirror and say, "I'm the one who takes care of me now." When you do that, when you choose yourself, when you break free, you're not just living for you, you're honoring her in the truest way. Because the greatest tribute to the woman who gave you life is to live it fully. But hold on, because just when you think you've let go, something else sneaks in. Something trickier, more subtle, more dangerous, emotional self-abandonment. Yeah, it's tied right back to that mother archetype still lurking in your shadow. Think about it, what does a kid do when they don't get the emotional care they need? They adapt. They shut down. They learn to ignore their own needs, to pretend it doesn't hurt. That survival trick becomes your way of life years later. Have you ever noticed how you treat yourself? The way you talk to yourself in your head, demanding things you'd never ask of someone you love? That's not random. It's the same pattern playing out, the archetype showing up in how you abandon yourself. You're reproducing the neglect you felt, but now you're the one doing it. Every time you push through exhaustion, downplay your pain, or betray your own needs to keep others happy, you're following the same script: if I ignore myself, maybe I'll be loved. That's the brutal knot. No one's hurting you now. You're hurting yourself, running old programming. Every time you accept what's not okay just to avoid being unloved, you're repeating it. You've become your own harsh parent, the one who won't let you cry, who demands you stay strong, who pushes you to keep giving to everyone but yourself. And the twisted part? The more you abandon yourself, the more you hope someone else will swoop in and save you. But no one can give you what you're not giving yourself. Here's the revolution: start caring for yourself like no one ever did. Be your own inner mother. Relearn everything. Give yourself the kindness you were denied, the permission to feel without judgment, the space to mess up without needing to be perfect. At first, it'll feel weird. You're used to the criticism, the coldness, the whip. But that's not yours, it's borrowed, a system you inherited because it's all you knew. Want to break it? Ask yourself, how would I treat a kid who went through what I did? If I saw them worn out, breaking down, would I push them harder or hold them without expecting anything back? That kid is you, yes, even now, at 30, 40, 50, even if you've toughened up or think you've got it all together. That kid's still there, waiting. And no one's coming to save them the way you imagine. You have to become the parent you needed. Alright, let's keep going. You're here, facing the truth about the mother archetype and how it's shaped you, but now we're digging into something even stickier: the way you've internalized that archetype as a voice that's not even yours. This is the negative inner mother, that harsh whisper in your head that says you're not enough, you're behind, you don't deserve it, you should be more, you shouldn't feel what you feel. You've carried it so long you might think it's your conscience, but it's not. It's a distortion, a piece of programming you picked up, and it's sitting in the space where your self-worth should be. This voice is brutal because it feels like you, but it's not. It's the echo of what you learned, what was modeled for you, what was imprinted when you were too young to question it. And until you dismantle it, you're going to keep living like your worst enemy is yourself. Shi Heng talked about this when he said that what's unconscious shows up in your life as fate. If you don't face this voice, it'll keep running your relationships, your choices, your entire life from the shadows. So, how do you take it apart? You don't fight it, and you don't ignore it. You listen. Yeah, I know that sounds counterintuitive, but hear me out: what you resist sticks around, but what you observe changes. Next time that voice pipes up, telling you you're failing or you don't measure up, don't try to drown it out with positive quotes or fake confidence. Pause and ask it: where do you come from? Who are you echoing? What story are you repeating that's not even mine? When you do that, something clicks. You start seeing the threads, the origins, and suddenly, it's not just a random thought, it's a pattern. You'll see how much of what you tell yourself isn't yours but a script handed down, maybe from your mom, maybe from her mom, maybe from a whole line of unhealed wounds. That moment of clarity? It's not some woo-woo enlightenment. It's raw, unfiltered power. It's you realizing you've been trapped in a story you never questioned, and now you're taking the pen back to write your own. But let's be clear, this isn't about slapping a smile on your pain or pretending everything's fine. It's about owning your story, seeing yourself without the filter of that old programming. It's about stopping the search for someone to fill the void and starting to fill it yourself with small, real choices. Want a roadmap? Here's a simple one: don't abandon yourself when you need you most. When you're exhausted, don't push harder, rest. When you're hurting, don't judge yourself, be there for yourself. When you're scared, don't hide it, listen to it. That's the new language, the new way of being your own inner mother. It's building an emotional foundation that breaks generations of patterns. I know it feels huge, overwhelming even, but you don't have to do it perfectly. You just have to do it differently. Because if you don't shift this cycle, no one's going to do it for you. The change you're craving isn't out there, it's in every small way you choose yourself. Every time you set a boundary, even if your voice shakes. Every time you say no to something that drains you so you can say yes to yourself. That's love, not the kind that demands or sacrifices, but the kind that holds you up, respects you, cares for you. It's the love you should have always gotten, and now you get to give it to yourself. This is revolutionary because the world doesn't teach you this. It teaches you to grind, to prove yourself, to compare yourself to everyone else. But to hold your own inner world? To embrace your shadows? That's not on the menu. Choosing to treat yourself with kindness in a world that pushes you to be harsh is a quiet act of rebellion. It's looking at your family history and saying, "This stops with me." Not because you're better or stronger, but because you're awake. And when you're awake, nothing can lull you back to sleep, not guilt, not judgment, not that old voice that used to stop you in your tracks. You're not chasing approval anymore. You're moving from a new place, a route you've built with awareness, boundaries, and real love. That's the legacy worth leaving, not the pain you inherited, but the healing you create. Now, let's talk about what happens when you start this shift. When you begin to break free from that negative inner mother, something changes inside. It's not loud or dramatic, it's subtle, like a quiet hum. You feel it when you face something you've avoided forever. It's a mix of emptiness and strength, of grief and rebirth. Because the end of this journey isn't some big celebration or sudden enlightenment. It's silence. A clean, clear silence. You've broken through the noise of what you inherited. You start to see why it's been so hard to find peace, why you've struggled to know who you really are. You've been carrying voices that aren't yours, weighed down by needs that didn't start with you, reacting to pain that's been passed down for generations. But now? That's done. What's left is you, your space, your identity, your voice. Here's the thing, you're not going to live without wounds. That's not the goal. The goal is to live with them consciously. That changes everything. Wounds aren't the issue, it's running from them, pretending they're not there, acting like ignoring them makes them vanish. Spoiler, they don't. They transform when you face them, name them, walk through them. At that final step, something new is born, your true emotional maturity. Not the kind that's about controlling everything or faking toughness, but the kind that accepts you're both broken and wise, both hurting and healing. You've crossed a line, a point of no return. You're no longer the child of your past, waiting for what you didn't get. You're the parent of your present, creating what you choose. And that's a power most people never touch. It takes raw honesty, relentless courage, and a fierce will to let go of excuses, justifications, and inherited fears. You're not living from the echo of an old story anymore, you're living from within. So, what's next? That's up to you. This video's ending, but the real work is just starting. It's the part no one sees, but you'll feel it every day, in every choice, every new way you treat yourself, every time you don't fall back into the old pattern. It's choosing awareness over lack, action over waiting. Even if no one claps for you, this is freedom you can't buy. Let me leave you with one last thought, something to carry with you, maybe even write down. When self-love grows from healed pain, it's not just a trend, it's a quiet revolution. If this hit you, if it shook something loose, drop it in the comments. Write, "I am the end of the pattern." Because if you're still here, you're not the same. You've seen what most people avoid, and that's no small thing. If this stirred you, made you think, touched something you've kept buried, hit that subscribe button, not for me, for you. This isn't about feeding egos, it's about waking up. Turn on the bell, because what's coming next might sting, but it'll set you free. Until then, do something that scares you a little. Talk to yourself in a way you never have. Sit in silence, cry if you need to, or just look at yourself without judgment for 10 seconds. 10. That's enough to start. When you change how you treat yourself, the world changes how it sees you. Don't believe me? Try it. From that deep place, where you don't need saving anymore, because you're the one saving yourself. Keep going. You're not just breaking a pattern, you're rewriting what's possible. See you in the next one. Alright, you're still here, ready to go further. Let's dive into what happens when you start breaking free from that mother archetype and the invisible loyalty tying you to it. You've begun to see the patterns, to question that harsh inner voice, but now we're peeling back another layer, the way you've been shaped to abandon yourself emotionally. This isn't just a habit, it's a direct echo of the mother complex Shi Heng pointed to, a survival mechanism you learned as a kid that's now running your adult life. Think about it. What does a child do when they don't get the emotional care they need? They adapt. They swallow their feelings, learn to be quiet, pretend it doesn't hurt. That's how you survived back then, but here's the kicker, that survival skill became your default. You've carried it into your 20s, 30s, 40s, or beyond, and it shows up in how you treat yourself. Ever notice how you talk to yourself? The way you push yourself harder than you'd ever push someone you love? That's not random. It's you continuing the abandonment you experienced, but now you're the one doing it. Every time you skip rest because you should keep going, every time you brush off your pain like it's no big deal, every time you bend over backward to keep others happy at your own expense, you're replaying the same script. It's like you're saying, if I ignore myself, maybe I'll finally be enough for someone. But that's not how it works. No one's hurting you now, you're hurting yourself, running on old wiring that was never yours to begin with. Here's the brutal part, the more you abandon yourself, the more you secretly hope someone else will come along and fix it, save you, love you the way you needed. But no one can give you what you're not giving yourself. That's the trap, and it's why you've got to flip the script. The real rebellion is to start caring for yourself like no one ever did. Be your own inner mother, the one you needed when you were small. What does that look like? It's relearning how to show up for yourself. It's giving yourself permission to feel without judgment, to rest when you're tired, to speak kindly to yourself when you mess up. It's stopping the demand for perfection and offering comfort instead. At first, it's going to feel awkward, maybe even wrong, because you're so used to the criticism, the coldness, the relentless push. But that's not who you are, it's what you inherited, a system you were handed because it's all you knew. To break it, try this, picture a kid who's been through what you have. They're exhausted, scared, on the edge of falling apart. Would you yell at them to toughen up? Tell them they're weak? Or would you sit with them, hold them, let them be without asking for anything in return? Now realize, that kid is you. Even now, no matter your age, no matter how together you seem, that kid's still there, waiting. And no one's coming to save them the way you're hoping. You've got to be the one they needed. This isn't fluffy self-help talk, it's deep, rooted in what Shi Heng understood about the unconscious. If you don't make this self-abandonment conscious, it'll show up as your destiny, repeating in every relationship, every job, every choice. You'll keep living from scarcity, from emotional hunger, from the need to be rescued. The paradox? You stop needing rescue when you become your own safe place. That's easier said than done, because no one taught you how. The world taught you to compete, to perform, to prove your worth, but not to hold your own heart, not to embrace your own shadows. And those shadows? They're loudest in that negative inner mother, that voice that's not yours but feels like it. It's the one that says you're falling short, that you don't belong, that you need to earn love. You've let it take the place of your self-esteem, and until you challenge it, you'll keep believing you're your own worst enemy. So, how do you take it down? By facing it head-on. Next time that voice shows up, don't run from it or try to cover it with affirmations. Look at it, Ask, who are you? Where'd you come from? What old story are you repeating? You'll start to see it's not your voice, it's an echo, maybe from your mom, maybe from her mom, maybe from a whole chain of unhealed pain. When you see that, something shifts. It's not a light bulb moment, it's a quiet, fierce clarity. You realize you've been living in a narrative you never chose, and now you're choosing different. This isn't about pretending the pain's gone. It's about taking charge of it, seeing yourself clearly, and stopping the wait for someone else to fill your emptiness. It's about filling it yourself with small, deliberate acts. When you're tired, rest. When you're sad, don't judge, be there. When you're afraid, don't hide, listen. That's the new emotional language, the new foundation that breaks centuries of patterns. I know it sounds massive, like a mountain you can't climb, but you don't have to do it perfectly. You just have to start. Because if you don't break this cycle, it'll keep going, passed down to the next generation, whether you mean to or not. The change you want isn't outside, it's in every moment you choose yourself, every boundary you set, every time you say no to what drains you so you can say yes to what builds you. That's love, not the kind that begs or sacrifices, but the kind that holds you steady. It's the love you deserved all along, and now you get to give it to yourself. In a world that tells you to demand, to punish, to compare, choosing to treat yourself with care is radical. It's staring down your family history and saying, "This ends with me." Not because you're better, not because you're tougher, but because you've decided to wake up. And when you wake up, you don't go back to sleep. Not the guilt, not the old voice, not the fear of being too much or not enough can stop you. You're not chasing someone else's approval anymore, you're building your own. You're rooting yourself in awareness, in boundaries, in a love that doesn't demand but sustains. That's the legacy you leave, not the pain you carried, but the healing you created. So, what's the next step? It's not a big, flashy move. It's the quiet work no one sees but you feel. It's choosing yourself in the small moments, saying no when it's hard, resting when you'd rather push, listening when you'd rather hide. It's breaking the pattern one choice at a time. If this hits you, if it shakes something loose, let me know in the comments. Write, "I am the end of the pattern." Because if you're here, you're not just watching, you're waking up. If this stirred you, if it touched something deep, hit subscribe. Not for me, for you. This isn't about entertainment, it's about consciousness. Turn on the bell, because what's next might hurt, but it'll free you. Until then, do something small but brave. Talk to yourself like you matter. Cry if you need to. Look at yourself without judgment for 10 seconds. Just 10. That's where it starts. When you shift how you treat yourself, the world shifts too. Don't believe me? Try it. From that place where you don't need saving, because you're already saving yourself. Keep going. You're not just breaking a cycle, you're building a new one. See you in the next one. Alright, you're still with me, and that means you're ready to go even deeper. We've talked about the mother complex, the invisible loyalty, and how you've been abandoning yourself by running old patterns. Now, let's get to the heart of what happens when you start breaking free from all of that. This is where the real shift begins, not just in how you see yourself, but in how you live. This is about stepping into your own power, about becoming the parent to yourself that you always needed. When you start dismantling that negative inner mother, that voice that's been tearing you down, something new starts to grow. It's not loud or flashy, it's quiet, like a seed cracking open in the dark. You begin to feel a shift, a new kind of silence that's not empty but full of possibility. This is what Shi Heng meant when he talked about making the unconscious conscious. You're not just reacting to old wounds anymore, you're choosing how to live with them. This is where emotional maturity kicks in, but not the kind you're used to hearing about. It's not about having it all together or pretending you're unbreakable. It's about accepting that you're both broken and whole, both hurting and healing. It's about living with your wounds, not running from them. Because here's the truth, the problem isn't the wounds themselves, it's pretending they don't exist, acting like if you ignore them, they'll vanish. They don't. They shape you until you face them, name them, and walk through them. That walk isn't easy. It's raw, messy, like wading through your own history. You'll revisit memories you've buried, feel things you've pushed down for years. Sometimes it'll feel like you're falling apart, but that's not failure, that's transformation. When you let yourself feel it, when you stop hiding from the pain, it starts to shift. It's not about erasing it, it's about letting it teach you. Every tear, every moment of anger, every time you let that inner child speak, it's all part of building something new. What's that new thing? It's you, but not the you who's been waiting for someone to fix things. It's the you who's done waiting. You're not the kid anymore, stuck in that old house, hoping for a hug or a word that never came. You're the adult now, the one who gets to decide what happens next. You're the one who creates the safety, the care, the love you didn't get. And that's not just powerful, it's revolutionary. This is where you cross a threshold, a point you can't come back from. You stop being the child of your past and become the parent of your present. You're not living from what was missing anymore, you're living from what you choose to build. That takes courage, the kind that doesn't shout but burns quietly inside. It's the courage to let go of excuses, to stop blaming the past, to drop the fears you inherited and start living as you. So, what does that look like in real life? It's not some grand gesture, it's the small, deliberate choices you make every day. It's choosing to rest when you're tired instead of pushing through. It's setting a boundary, even if your hands shake. It's saying no to what drains you so you can say yes to what fills you. It's talking to yourself like you'd talk to someone you love, not someone you're trying to fix. These choices add up. They rewrite the script. They break the cycle. And the more you do it, the more you realize you're not just surviving, you're creating. You're building a new way of being, one where you don't need someone else's permission to feel worthy. You don't need their approval to shine. You don't need their love to feel whole. You're giving that to yourself now. But let's be real, this isn't a one-and-done deal. That old programming, that negative inner mother, it'll try to creep back in. It'll whisper that you're not enough, that you're selfish for choosing yourself, that you're betraying someone by living bigger. That's when you double down. You remind yourself, this isn't about them anymore. It's about you. You're not here to repeat their story, you're here to write your own. And here's the wild part, when you start living this way, you're not just healing yourself. You're breaking a chain that's been passed down for generations. You're stopping the patterns, unspoken traumas, unprocessed pain, the weight of silence, from being handed to the next person. Whether you have kids or not, that's your legacy. Not the pain you inherited, but the freedom you created. So, what's the next step? It's not waiting for the perfect moment or the right feeling. It's doing the work now, in the middle of the mess. It's choosing yourself when it's hard, when you're scared, when you don't know if you're doing it right. Because there is no right. There's just different, different from the patterns, different from the pain, different from the past. If this is hitting you, if it's waking something up, drop it in the comments. Right, I am the end of the pattern. Because if you're here, you're not just listening, you're seeing something most people avoid. You're awake, and that's not small. Hit subscribe, not for me, but for you. This isn't about feeding egos, it's about building consciousness. Turn on the bell, because what's coming next will shake you, but it'll also set you free. Until then, do something that feels a little scary. Talk to yourself like you're worth it. Cry if you need to. Look in the mirror for 10 seconds without judging yourself. Just 10. That's enough to start. When you change how you treat yourself, the world changes how it sees you. Try it, from that deep place where you're not waiting to be saved anymore, because you're already saving yourself. Keep going. You're not just breaking a cycle, you're creating a new one. See you in the next one. You've come this far, and that's no accident. You've seen what most people avoid, the wounds, the patterns, and the power to break them. Now, the question is, what are you going to do with it? Don't wait for the perfect moment, start today. Be the one who ends the pattern, who builds a new you, who loves yourself the way you always deserve to be loved. In the comments, write, "I am the end of the pattern." Because if you're here, you're awake, and there's no going back. Hit that subscribe button, turn on the bell, because this journey is just beginning. Do something that scares you a little, say something kind to yourself, set a boundary, or just look in the mirror for 10 seconds without judgment. When you change how you treat yourself, the whole world shifts with you. Are you ready? Keep going, because the one saving you is you. See you in the next video.